Have you signed the petition?
Not yet, no, because you know me, I'm not very technical at stuff like that. I was going to start differently, but it's your show, you do what you want. He has no plan, he has no conviction, he has no backbone. I don't buy this government at all. It makes me furious with the shambles that was the Tory party.
I can't see it's going to make it actually going to force an election. And in fact, even if the entire adult population signed it, it wouldn't legally force anything.
47 million eligible voters, 3 million signatures demanding change. One journalist brave enough to confront the leader of the opposition with these numbers. When Isabel Oakeshott presented Keir Starmer with the hard facts of public discontent, his reaction was telling, but it's what she said next that truly exposed the growing crisis in British politics. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. The petition's sudden surge caught everyone off guard. What started as a whisper of discontent quickly turned into a roar, with signatures pouring in faster than anyone anticipated. This groundswell of public frustration set the stage for a showdown that would shake the foundations of British politics. At the center of this brewing storm stood three key players: Isabel Oakeshott, the fearless journalist known for her razor-sharp critiques; Keir Starmer, the embattled leader of the opposition; and the British public, increasingly disillusioned with the state of their government.
I mean, I'm not pretending it's going to actually in some way trigger an election. I mean, So there are about 40 million people who are eligible to vote in this country. This thing is getting ahead of steam, and I think we've all got to pile in. And
all right, let me play devil's advocate. I am absolutely with you and the millions of people who think this bloke is a disgrace.
But what it is just a big message, isn't it? It's just a message to this lousy lot about just how much they are utterly despised by how many people.
Starmer's leadership had been under fire for months. His promises of a fresh start for Labour rang hollow as he struggled to connect with voters. Public sentiment was turning sour, with many feeling that Starmer had abandoned the very principles he claimed to champion. The disconnect between his polished rhetoric and the harsh realities faced by ordinary citizens grew wider by the day. Enter Isabel Oakeshott, a voice for the frustrated masses. Her no-nonsense approach to journalism had made her a thorn in the side of many politicians, but to millions of Brits, she was a beacon of truth in a sea of political spin. Oakeshott's sharp critiques of Starmer's performance resonated deeply with those who felt let down by his leadership.
But we cannot fall for the BS that the king is going to get involved. This is not going to change the government. Yes, it will absolutely, Isabel, say to this government, globally and at home, not very popular. It's not going to make any difference, though, is it? Come on.
I remind myself that very many people didn't vote Labour at the last election. I'm not surprised that many of them want a rerun. That isn't how our system works. There would be plenty of people who didn't want us in the first place.
I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, Nigel Farage is one of the most popular politicians in the country. That's why millions of people voted for him and his party at the last election.
Recent polls painted a grim picture for Starmer. His approval ratings had plummeted, with barely a quarter of voters expressing confidence in his ability to lead. The list of broken promises grew longer, backtracking on key policy commitments, failing to effectively challenge the government, and seeming more interested in internal party politics than the needs of the country. Public frustration reached a boiling point. Oakeshott sensed an opportunity. She had been gathering evidence, conducting interviews, and building a case that would expose the true extent of Starmer's failings. The petition, with its millions of signatures, was the final piece of the puzzle. In a move that would send shockwaves through the political establishment, Oakeshott made a bold decision. She would confront Starmer directly on live television, armed with the hard facts of public discontent. The stage was set for a clash that promised to be as dramatic as it was consequential.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's the strong thing. Well, he was on this morning. This is really interesting, and I want to pick you up on something with Farage. He was on this morning. My mate Andy Peters interviewing him. Have a listen to this. Is Starmer's response earlier.
So, look, what I focus on is the decisions that I have to make every day. And it's a bit like opposition.
Surely you want us, the public, to trust you, to like you.
Isabel, before I talk to you about the robot, isn't that typical of the mainstream media? This is what he said. Oh, your approval ratings are even lower than Nigel Farage's at the moment.
Nigel Farage is always going to be a much more exciting, interesting, dynamic, charismatic, bright, engaging, and yes, divisive figure than Keir Starmer.
As news of the upcoming confrontation spread, the nation held its breath. Would this be the moment that finally forced Starmer to face the music? Or would he find a way to deflect and dodge once again? One thing was certain, when Isabel Oakeshott stepped into that studio, British politics would never be the same. As the studio lights blazed to life, Isabel Oakeshott sat poised across from Keir Starmer, the air crackling with tension. This wasn't just another political interview, it was a confrontation that could reshape British politics. Viewers at home leaned in, sensing that they were about to witness something extraordinary. Oakeshott wasted no time, launching into a barrage of hard-hitting questions that left Starmer visibly uncomfortable. She accused him of being useless and dragging the UK downhill, her words cutting through his carefully crafted political facade. Starmer's body language betrayed his discomfort, shifting in his seat, avoiding direct eye contact, his usual smooth responses replaced by defensive stammering. As Oakeshott pressed on, it became clear that she was voicing the frustrations of millions. She highlighted Starmer's broken promises, his failure to effectively challenge the government, and his apparent disconnect from the everyday concerns of British citizens. Each point landed like a hammer blow, backed by meticulous research and echoing the sentiments of a disillusioned public. Starmer's attempts to deflect and dodge only seemed to fuel Oakeshott's determination. She pressed harder, her questions becoming more pointed, more personal. The Labour leader's dismissive attitude only served to reinforce Oakeshott's argument that he was out of touch with the people he claimed to represent. The tension in the studio reached a fever pitch as Oakeshott prepared to deliver her coup de grace. With a steely gaze, she revealed the petition's staggering numbers: 3 million signatures demanding change. This wasn't just a statistic, it was a deafening cry from the British public, a direct challenge to Starmer's leadership. The impact was immediate and visceral. Starmer's face paled, his usual composure crumbling under the weight of this revelation. As he struggled to formulate a response, the true scale of public discontent became undeniable. Social media exploded with reactions, viewers expressing outrage at Starmer's dismissive attitude and praising Oakeshott's fearless pursuit of accountability. As the interview drew to a close, it was clear that this confrontation would have far-reaching consequences. Oakeshott had not just challenged Starmer, she had exposed the deep rifts between political leadership and public sentiment. The question on everyone's lips was, how would British politics respond to this seismic shift? Isabel Oakeshott's confrontation with Keir Starmer has laid bare the deep disconnect between political leadership and public sentiment. The Labour leader's dismissive attitude in the face of hard facts and public discontent has only reinforced the perception that he's out of touch. This televised showdown could very well be the turning point in Starmer's leadership, forcing a reckoning within the Labour Party. The long-term implications of this confrontation are significant. Starmer's credibility has taken a severe hit, and his ability to lead Labour into the next general election is now in question. The public's demand for change, as evidenced by the 3 million strong petition, cannot be ignored. We may see a shift in Labour's policies, or even a leadership challenge in the coming months. Oakeshott's fearless journalism has demonstrated the power of holding leaders accountable. As she aptly put it, the public's voice cannot be ignored. It's time to take action, hold leaders accountable, and push for a brighter future. This confrontation serves as a reminder that in a healthy democracy, no politician is above scrutiny, and the press plays a crucial role in amplifying the voice of the people.